4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is Please stand by. Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello friends, welcome to Studio Classroom. Your English will improve today. My name is Carolyn. We all know that smoking is bad for people's health, but sometimes we don't really think about the problems smoking can cause until it affects us directly. In yesterday's lesson, that's exactly what happened to Brent. Our lesson is titled, Who Does Smoking Hurt? But now that Brent has quit smoking, he's not just thinking about his own health. He has read some information on the harmful effects of smoking for children and others. Let's learn more about this with our lesson today.
Who does smoking hurt?
The report also said that secondhand smoke and air pollution results in about 570,000 child deaths around the world each year. The true harm of tobacco smoke is that it is a silent killer.
Smoking and secondhand smoke hurt people. That's why the government passed the Tobacco Hazards Prevention Act. It prohibits smoking at workplaces and public areas.
Have you ever heard of third-hand smoke?
You mean the toxic chemicals from tobacco smoke that are left on things like clothes and furniture?
Exactly. So there's really no avoiding the poisons left behind by smoking.
Even using a fan or air conditioner can't get rid of the residual smoke. The residue remains on surfaces for at least 6 months and is especially dangerous for babies and young children.
Hi everyone, welcome to Language Lab. 首先我们看的是 prohibit 这个动词 ，pro 这个字首有之前的意思 ，hibit 这个字根是指拿住或握住，所以 prohibit 是指禁止或防止。例如 ，a school rule prohibits students from using cell phones in class。校规禁止学生在课堂中使用手机。prohibit 也常常用被动语态，例如 littering is prohibited in the park。公园内禁止乱丢垃圾。它的名词是字尾加上 ion 变成 prohibition， 意思是禁止或禁止的法令。例如 ，the organization is promoting a complete prohibition of animal testing。这个组织正在推动全面禁止动物实验。接下来我们看的是 residual 这个形容词 ，sid 这个字根有放置的意思，所以 residual 是指残余的或残留的。注意它的 s 是发 z 的音，念成 residual。例如 ，the residual smell of paint can last a long time if you don't let the air circulate。如果你没有让空气流通的话，油漆残留的味道可以延续很久。或者是 Sherry still has residual fear of driving many years after the accident。意外发生多年后 ，Sherry 对于开车还是心有余悸。它的名词是 residue，residue，意思是残余物，大多数都是用单数形。例如 ，the shampoo claims to be able to take away all the residue on your hair。这个洗发精宣称可以洗掉所有头发上的残余物。
Thank you so much, Michelle. Now, yesterday we started learning about the dangers of smoking, and Brent had one final line there about some report that he had read. He said that, I read a report by the World Health Organization that said a top cause of death for children under the age of 5 is air pollution, and much of that is from secondhand smoke. Now, that's really scary.
It sure is. And of course, smoking is very common all around the world. And obviously, you can imagine just how many children around the world then are affected by this situation.
Sure. Now, Brent continues talking about this report. In his first line, he says, the report also said that secondhand smoke and air pollution result in about 570,000 child deaths around the world each year. Now, that's a really surprising statistic.
It seems that the true harm of tobacco smoke is that it is a silent killer.
Now, that's a really interesting way to phrase it, that it's a silent killer. That phrasing here refers to something that is dangerous that you don't really see or hear, something maybe you don't expect. And it can be used to talk about medical conditions in particular that don't have symptoms. And once they are discovered, it may be too late to treat it.
That's very true. For example, many people feel that cancer is a silent killer.
Sure, it's something that you might not realize that is there until it's too late to do anything about it. Fortunately, medical procedures and treatments have improved, so there is a much better chance that people can be saved. But one thing that is still a silent killer is tobacco smoke. It's not something I really think of as air pollution, but it is considered air pollution, and the World Health Organization included it in its report. Now, how does our lesson continue with Allison's line?
For sure. Allison says that smoking and secondhand smoke hurt people. That's why the government passed the Tobacco Hazards Prevention Act, or THPA.
Right. So the government is trying to help keep people safe by limiting the amount of secondhand smoke because it's a hazard. Now let's take a look at that word there. If something is a hazard, then it is a danger or a risk.
That's right. Hazard can describe many different activities or many different influences. I have an example for you, Carolyn.
Okay.
Carolyn, do you know the hazards of taking selfies?
Oh, tell me about these hazards, Jack.
Well, in fact, people like to take pictures sometimes in slightly dangerous situations, and in the last 7 years, 260 people have died taking selfies.
Oh, that is a very scary statistic as well. Oh my. So try to avoid hazards, friends. Try to stay safe, whether it's by not smoking or not taking selfies in a dangerous area. Be safe out there. Now we continue reading that this THPA, Tobacco Hazards Prevention Act, prohibits smoking at workplaces and public areas. So that's to limit the amount of secondhand smoke that people are breathing.
That's right. The goal is to keep as many people from receiving the secondhand smoke as possible.
Well, now there's something else that they mention in our lesson, and that is third-hand smoke, which are the toxic chemicals from tobacco smoke that are left on things like clothes and furniture. Now, Allison has an interesting line a little bit further down in the lesson. She says, even using a fan or air conditioner can't get rid of the residual smoke. And how does she continue that line?
She continues, the residue remains on surfaces for at least 6 months and is especially dangerous for babies and young children.
That's right. Now let's take a look at a word in that sentence. We see the word residue. Now, residue is something that remains after the main thing has been removed. So she's saying that even after the cigarette has been put out, the smoke is gone, there is still something left behind.
I have another example for this. When you buy a new product, you may take the stickers off and find there is a sticky residue left on the item.
That's right. So usually when I think of something that is a residue, I think of it as being kind of sticky and not something you really want to have there. Well, we've been talking about second-hand and third-hand, and I think we have more to learn about first-hand and second-hand in the Info Cloud.
Welcome to Info Cloud. Rex, I recently read a first-hand account from an American explorer in the 1700s. It was fascinating.
That must have been an interesting read. You know, I prefer learning about history through first-hand information.
When it comes to learning and experience, we often make a distinction between first-hand and second-hand. First-hand means that someone directly experienced or learned something.
If information is second-hand, it was passed on by somebody who was not directly involved, so it's indirect.
For example, a newspaper reporter interviews people involved in an accident to find out what happened. The article published would then be second-hand information.
But let's say one person writes a book about their personal experience of the accident, then it would be first-hand.
In many cases, a first-hand account of something is considered to be more reliable as it comes from someone who experienced it firsthand.
Oftentimes, we will use first-hand in the workplace. A company might want someone with particular kinds of first-hand experiences.
They are looking for someone who has experienced something for themselves, as opposed to just learning about it in books.
今天分享的两个单字其实非常容易理解，那就是 first hand 第一手以及 second hand 第二手。这两个单字经常用来形容我们所得到的资讯或消息。例如 I prefer learning about history through first-hand information. 我喜欢透过第一手资讯学习历史。这有可能包括历史人物的自传或是他们所写的信件。另外一方面，我们透过媒体所得到的新闻就是一种 second-hand information 第二手资讯，因为那并不是透过当事人描述自身的经历，那才是 first-hand experience， 而是透过新闻记者的报道。这就是今天的 Info Cloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Studio Classroom. Today, our lesson is looking about the dangerous effects of smoking. And, of course, we've been looking at a conversation between Brent and Allison. So far today, we've talked about second-hand smoke and a little bit about third-hand smoke. But who does third-hand smoke really affect? Let's continue learning with our lesson now.
Who does smoking hurt?
That's right. The intake of these residues can cause asthma and affect brain development.
Does third-hand smoke affect pets too?
I read that pets exposed to third-hand smoke are more likely to get cancer. That's especially true of cats who ingest toxins when they lick their fur. They run a higher risk of getting oral cancer and lymphoma.
That's awful. Poor kids and poor pets. I'm glad you quit, Brent.
Me too. I used to think smoking was just a matter of personal choice, but obviously there are more things to consider.
I can imagine quitting smoking wasn't easy, but you made the right choice. Good for you.
OK， 继续我们看 intake 这个名词。intake 是指呼吸、吸入或者是摄取，都是用单数型。例如 ，the doctor advised the patient to reduce his daily intake of salt。医生建议这位病人要减少每天盐的摄取量。或者是 the boxer's food intake is strictly controlled by the coach。这位拳击手食物的摄取都由教练严格控管。或者是 Henry heard a sharp intake of breath when he delivered the terrible news。 Henry 在告诉大家这个可怕的消息时，听到了有人倒吸了一口气。Intake 也可以指某个组织新招募的人，例如 the school's intake this semester exceeded 500 people。 这个学校在这个学期的新生超过了500人。最后我们看的是 toxin 这个名词 ，tox 这个字根有毒的意思，所以 toxin 是指毒素或有毒物质。例如 the police found toxins in the victim's body, so they suspected he was poisoned。 警方在受害者的尸体中找到了有毒物质，所以他们怀疑他是被下毒的。或者是 eating high fiber foods and drinking plenty of fluids can help flush toxins out of your body。吃高纤食物以及喝足够的液体有助于把毒素排出体外。它的形容词是 toxic， T-O-X-I-C， 意思是有毒的。例如 toxic waste produced in this factory is professionally processed。 这家工厂产生的有毒废弃物有经过专业的处理。And now let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Now we know that from our lesson, the residue that is left behind can be dangerous for babies and young children, but we learned something else about this residue and its dangers in this part of our lesson. What does Brent say?
Okay, well, first he acknowledges what Allison said, that intake of this third-hand smoke of the residues can cause asthma and affect brain development. But Allison asks, does third-hand smoke affect pets too?
That's a really good question because many people have pets. Are they also affected by this second-hand or third-hand smoke? And Brent has some information for her. He says, I read that pets exposed to third-hand smoke are more likely to get cancer. Now, that's terrible. But let's look at a word here in this sentence, the word exposed. If someone is exposed to something, then they are caused to experience something. And usually it is some sort of hazard, risk, or danger.
That's right. So you can be exposed to a dangerous substance, something that's dangerous. But sometimes ideas can be dangerous too. At school or at work, you may be exposed to some bad influences.
And those bad influences might be smoking. That is not a good habit to pick up because, as we see, cigarettes are dangerous, not just for the person smoking, but for the people and animals around them. Now, we continue to read in Brent's line that that's especially true of cats who ingest toxins when they lick their fur. Oh, these poor cats, as they lick their fur, they're actually ingesting third-hand smoke, this residue left behind by the cigarettes. And I like the word here, ingest. Now, ingest is kind of different. Usually when we put something in through our mouths, we say that we eat it. But eating is a good thing, and oftentimes ingest is not. We use this word to mean to eat something or to take something into the body through the mouth, but it's often bad when we're using it to talk about someone who ingested something or an animal that ingested something.
That is very true. Here's another example of how you can use this. Please wash your fruits and vegetables, or you might ingest some dirt or some chemicals on them.
Sure, or maybe the baby accidentally ingested a piece of money. They are not supposed to eat money. That's not good for them. But, you know, sometimes kids put things in their mouth and ingest things that they shouldn't. Well, these poor cats ingest toxins when they lick their fur, and we see that because of this, they run a higher risk of getting oral cancer and lymphoma.
Wow, my reaction is just like Allison's. That's awful. Poor kids and poor pets. And I, like Allison, am glad that Brent quit.
Yes, and we see that Brent is too. He says, "Me too. I used to think smoking was just a matter of personal choice." Now let's take a look at that word, personal choice. This means that it's based on what you like as an individual, your individual preference or choice.
That's right. Many people may try to tell you what you should listen to or what you should like, but really it's a matter of personal choice.
That's right. So Brent thought smoking was a personal choice, but actually it affects a lot of people and animals around you. Well, we've had a great lesson today, and I'd like to finish it with an SC challenge. Welcome to the SC Challenge. We have a great challenge for you today, and we have some teachers here to play along with us. Let's meet them.
Hi, my name is Manya, and it is great to be here today.
And my name is David, and I'm glad to be back.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that both of you are here. Let's see how you do with answering our challenge questions. Here is the first one. How does the lesson describe secondhand smoke? A. It's perfectly okay. B. It's fine for cool people. C. It's a silent killer. Or D. It's okay for workplaces. Oh, David?
That's right. All right. The answer is C.
It's a silent killer. That is correct. The answer is C. All right. Our next question is a fill in the blank question. Tobacco chemicals left on furniture is an example of blank. I'll read that one again. Tobacco chemicals left on furniture is an example of blank. A. First-hand smoke. B. Second-hand smoke. C. Third-hand smoke. Or D. Fourth-hand smoke. Oh, that was so close. I think David was a little faster. Sorry, Manya.
All right. C again. Third-hand smoke.
That is correct. The answer is C. Third-hand smoke. All right, our final question for our lesson today. Another fill-in-the-blank question. Brent used to think smoking was just a matter of blank. A. Lymphoma. B. Toxic chemicals. C. Personal choice. Or D. Getting asthma. Oh, Manya?
C. Personal choice.
That is correct. Yes, Brent used to think smoking was just a matter of personal choice. Well, David, great job today. You are our winner. And I hope that all of you playing at home did a great job as well. Thank you for playing. We've been discussing the hazards of smoking in our lesson today, and there are many, including third-hand smoke, which is the residual smoke left after the cigarette has been put out. I hope that you will consider these things when you think about smoking, or perhaps you have family members who smoke. It can be very difficult to quit, but I encourage you to make healthy choices for yourself and for the people that you love. Well, we'll see you next time here on Studio Classroom.